this is the first podcast. And it's been a long time to like really get into it. Like, will anyone really listen? Will anyone really like hear my points? Is anything I say interesting? But, and I love politics. I love to hate government. I love to hate how incompetent politicians are. And I wonder if there weren't people like that, maybe like, what would I hack about? But something changed for me in the LA fires. Like something's made me like furious. You see, and I finally realized what has gone so wrong in this country, specifically with more progressive governments, but it's a general problem. It's that it used to be that at least politicians would profess to want to do the job that they are asked to do. And they didn't just use the job to like move into the next job. So like, and this is what you see in the LA fires, which is so infuriating. The government's job, their primary role of all their jobs, this is the reason why we have a government, is so that they can put out the fires, arrest the criminals, and keep the streets clean. Like that is their goal, that is the stated goal. All the other stuff, all the social programs, all that other stuff is all nonsense at best, but it's certainly not their primary role. It's certainly not their primary role. And it always causes problems. But what you have in California is a situation where you now have massive homeless encampments because it's wrong to clean the streets and it's wrong to get drug addicts off the streets, I guess. And I mean the truth is that they have a huge industry funding this thing, and you have them dealing with this progressive issue and that progressive issue and that stupid issue and that stupid issue, and the one thing that they're supposed to do is make sure fires don't happen. They don't do the forestry, they don't do the water management, they don't do anything. And so it's kind of like, let's say I heard a commentator like that I follow describe it like this. It's kind of like a woman in like a really toxic bad relationship. But the guy's like a macho guy, and he's like, but I'm a useless. I don't. He doesn't work. He drinks too much. But at least she feels like he could protect her, and then one day they're walking together, and she gets mugged, and he can't protect her, and she realizes he can't even do that. So it's bad. We know, everybody knows government's completely incompetent and completely stupid and completely ridiculous. But these politicians now are not even doing something incompetently. They're not doing the thing at all. And people should be furious about this. And people should look at their government and say, hey, and why aren't you doing it? And in New York, we have the same thing, right? Like we're paying congestion pricing, we're paying all these taxes, but they're just not doing the work. They just don't clean up the city. They just decided that our city was a sanctuary city. They just decided that they're not going to do the roads. What are they going to do? Just fund massive progressive programs, run after private schools, do all the stuff that's totally not their mandate, and instead do things that are their mandate. And this is what we as citizens should be furious about, should be totally furious about, the complete inversion of the role of government. And these are the type of things I want to talk about on this podcast going forward. Other things, like other examples of this, is you see with transparency. The way a society is supposed to be, a democratic, free society is supposed to be, is government doesn't know anything about what you're doing unless there is a very strong reason, and that's governed by the Fourth Amendment, which is a rule on government doing illegal searches. So they're not supposed to know anything you do, but you are supposed to know everything they do, because government is supposed to be transparent, completely transparent. And what do we have today? Exactly the opposite. Government is now completely invasive. They're tracking our messages, our emails, everything that we do online. They're tracking our phones, and this is all in the name of national security, even though it hasn't brought us any security. And what are they supposed to be upfront about? Everything. The idea that things should be classified is almost always ridiculous. But in Washington, they take it to a new height. everything is classified and everything is redacted, and you can't get a straight answer. You need to file a Freedom of Information Act to get anything. To what we found out about the FISA courts and Russiagate is just an example of how there is no transparency at all in government. So and that's another example of how that's a complete inversion of how things are supposed to be. And obviously the justification is well, they're supposed to keep us safe. But is that right? Do we want to give up freedom for safety? I don't want to give up freedom for safety. I want to be able to protect myself, and I don't want to give government unlimited power because in the name of safety. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live in a country like that. Anyway, on a lighter note, I've been watching these Trump appointments. There is something to see that how unimpressive our elected officials are. Like, I've been watching these appointments for years, and there is something different about this time. It's like the appointees are like, you know, we're just not going to play that stupid game anymore where we like pretend to care what you say and show deference, and we're not going to not mock your questions. And like they've always been sitting in this bully pulpit, respect my time, and like gotchas and all these things, and like the appointees are just not having it anymore because these people, these senators, are just so unimpressive. It's almost like the Karen Bass, URL, like go to URL. These people are just completely unimpressive, and you see it in the senators. They're like, they're asking intelligent people about lawfare, not knowing that their own party engaged in this for years. They are just. You see, like Elizabeth Warren questioning Hegseth if he will resign over drinking and extramarital affairs, as if Washington is squeaky clean. These people are all alcoholics, and they're all completely corrupt degenerates. And there's no way there's no moral ground for these people to stand on. And it's just so wonderful to see them completely and utterly embarrassed. Okay, so this was the first recording. Again, probably no one's going to listen. We're going to try it again. We'll have a more clear agenda for the next episode. Maybe we'll get some music in here. But we're doing the first one. This is it, and see you next time.